Welcome to Multicultural Lit video lecture number 10. And in this particular video, I want to talk about the annotated bibliography and the acknowledgments. I'm going to try not to stand in front of all of the words this time. And the annotated bibliography is something that perhaps you haven't encountered before. Actually, this is a new thing for me. And I'm excited about it because I think it's going to function kind of in the way the annotated note-taking for the books worked, in the sense that if you actually did the annotations while you were reading, you found that it was tedious, but you did really well in the quiz because you understood it so much and you did work ahead of time, which is really what I'm interested in seeing students, you guys, do for this particular research paper. And I think if you follow the steps, it will ultimately be helpful. So an annotated bibliography looks a lot like a traditional works cited page, and it follows the end of your actual paper. It follows MLA rules for the works cited format, which means it's in alphabetical order by last name, and it has all that indenting. You can go to the internet, you can find out what that's supposed to look like. It's everywhere. I recommend the Purdue OWL site. I have a link to that website on my webpage. The difference is, and this is why it's called bibliography, it has more than just the sources you use in your paper. It has the other sources that you looked at as you're doing your research, and you then determined this wasn't really useful. And that's where you start to make some decisions. You are judging and evaluating the work, and you're letting me and your other readers know about this too. So when you have an entry, it'll look like your works cited entry, but then below that there might be about a paragraph where you look at the assessment, which is what I just talked about. You also summarize your source a little bit. What is it that that author is trying to convey? What is their argument and purpose? And you write it in your own words. And then perhaps even a reflection. Sometimes when we're doing research, we find an avenue that's really interesting, but it's not really relevant to where we're headed. And so here's where you can write a little sentence about, this would be interesting to explore, maybe it belongs to somebody else's paper, maybe I'm going to even read more about this some other day, but it's not something I can use for the direction of my own paper. Obviously, before you start doing this work, you have to know what your topic is, and you have to know what your own purpose is. What is your purpose for writing? And you should visit the last video to learn more about determining what your purpose is. Okay, so if you have questions about this, please let me know. Check my website. I have a link, again, to the Purdue OWL website, which has some great information. Second, acknowledgments. This is also something I haven't done before. I got this great idea from Mr. Taveldi. And you've probably seen these pages before, often in maybe a book of fiction, maybe a book of nonfiction. Somewhere after the title page, you'll see just a blank page for the most part, with maybe just a little bit of text sort of in the middle, sort of towards the top. And this is where you acknowledge the people who've really helped you get this paper, this work, this book done. So you have your format and you have your purpose. You know, maybe it's, like for me, there was a big research paper I had to do when I was in high school, and of course I didn't have all the advantages you guys have. I had to type it, had to go to the library and get actual books. You know, it was much more complicated. It was a big royal pain to do it. And of course, like some of you, I procrastinated a little bit. My dad stayed up pretty late with me, making sure I had all of the pieces together, helping me organize, helping me make sure I got everything typed properly. I would have had to acknowledge him if I had an acknowledgement paper. And that's it. Those are the two things that you should be really thinking about, starting to pay attention on taking good notes so you know what you've been looking at and you can document this. Also on my webpage, my school webpage, is a link to another webpage that has 5 tips on making sure that your sources that you look at on the web are credible. How are you going to evaluate? You know, there's great information on the internet, but there's also a lot of junk. So be discriminating, pay attention. If somebody has a very biased and crazy looking webpage, think about that before you decide, oh, this is a great source. So use your brain and do some good reading, do some good thinking, take good notes, and let me know if you need any help. Thanks for watching.